Good morning, everybody, and a happy Friday morning. Well, I'm sure you can guess from the thumbnail what the majority of this video is about. Yes, this sucker is long. We have a little bit of royal family stuff first, though, so let's jump in and get busy, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start off with Princess Catherine. She issued a statement and she has long campaigned about the vital importance of children's first 5 years. And so she is releasing some new videos. It is a new film series to support her life's work. She said early childhood offers a sacred opportunity to transform our societies for the better. So her foundation launched this project to support the development of babies and toddlers. Now, of course, we know she's on summer holiday, but she has been closely involved in the creation of these animated films that are aimed at helping those working with families and carers. I love that. I believe these pictures were taken in June when Catherine spent time with two of the illustrators, Vicky Turner and Owen Gildersleeve, who were working on the films, and she also met early years practitioners involved in the creation. Her foundation released this video. Listen to this.
Over the past few months, the Princess of Wales and the Royal Foundation Centre for Early Childhood have been working on resources we are delighted to share with you today. This new series of films explores the science of early child development. They show how simple, everyday actions of connection help to nurture social and emotional skills for babies and children, skills vital for their future and ours. We created the films with some of the world's most talented illustrators and animators, alongside child development experts and frontline practitioners across the UK. Building on the Centre's Shaping Us framework, these films are a practical tool for those working with babies and children to support their positive development during this golden opportunity of early childhood. The animations are underpinned by a package of resources so that our partners can build them into their training right across the country. Supporting our youngest children today is the strongest foundation for a happier, healthier society tomorrow.
It unpacks the brain science, and there's key concepts behind the way nurturing interactions support social and emotional development of babies. A big thank you to Remoulade Sauce, as usual, for showing us what she was wearing. Let's move on. Next up, we have Pippa, Catherine's sister, and James Matthews, her husband. They were given permission for a new venture. She apparently is going to build a children's nursery. So you have to get permission from the local council to establish a nursery. It's going to be at Buckleberry Farm. The two of them purchased this 72-acre property for just under $2 million in 2020 and operated as a recreational estate. And so according to the reports, it's going to be for youngsters between the ages of 9 months old and aged 5, providing strong social benefit and meeting a local shortage of early year places. Pippa and her husband put out a statement saying, quote, "Our proposed nursery at Buckleberry Farm will ease the pressure, offering an additional 20 to 25 places for young children and enabling many parents, particularly mothers, to return to work or increase their hours, thereby supporting the local economy and improving family well-being." Of course, this venture of Pippa's is right in line with Princess Catherine when it comes to early years education. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's happening. But I just love this. All right, let's move on. Next up, we have Princess Anne, who flew into Dublin. She met with President Michael Higgins, who made a statement saying that it was his pleasure to renew his conversations with Her Royal Highness Princess Anne, and to recognize the significant contribution which he has made over so many years to the relationship between our two countries. I was also pleased to recognize the contribution which the Princess Royal has made to equestrian sports over the years, as well as to related learning and therapy services. And I further took the opportunity to extend my best wishes to His Majesty, King Charles, and to recall his unwavering support for peace and reconciliation. Now, the young lady next to President Higgins is his wife, Sabina. Apparently, the visit went very well, and then it was time for her to leave because she was headed off to an equestrian event, which we know that was right up Princess Anne's alley. Anyway, I think she looks lovely in this outfit. I think the visit went well. We're going to continue on with Princess Anne. So Princess Anne then headed out to attend the opening of the 150th Dublin Horse Show. When she got there, she toured a special exhibition, and she's also presenting the rosettes in the small hunters competition. She went behind the scenes and got to meet some of the horses. You know how much she loves that sort of thing. Look at her. She's such a natural with animals. And then, of course, she was seated in the presidential box for the races before she went out onto the field and met and, presented the rosettes, as I just told you. Now, when that part was over, I hope I say this right, she met with Festina Lent. This is a charity based in Ireland at the Equestrian Centre. And as president of the Riding for the Disabled Association, she also met riders, members, and ambassadors of the RDA Ireland. And they discussed the benefits of the Riding for the Disabled and how it helps the riders and the volunteers across the UK and Ireland. You guys already know how much I love her. Moving on. All right, we're going back to this book that's being written about Prince Andrew. I'll explain why in a second. But here's some of the claims about the book. That Harry had that physical fight with Prince Andrew. That William trying to work to remove Andrew from Royal Lodge. That Prince Andrew called a staff member an imbecile over the Queen Mother. That Prince Andrew was branded a serial sex addict. But the big one for me was the nightmare conduct at dinner parties. Here's some of the stuff that was written. His favorite activity at parties was playing choo-choo trains where everyone danced around the room in a conga shouting choo-choo, or games where a piece of fruit was passed from one person to another person by holding a piece of fruit under their chin. Somebody else said he was a nightmare to sit next to at a party. He made jokes about whether or not you're wearing underwear, that his jokes were lavatorially disgusting. And at one dinner party, it's being reported, he sniffed a plate of pate and then looked at the person on his right and said, "This pate smells, what do you think?" And the female companion leaned forward to smell it, and he pushed her face into the dish. Why do I have no trouble believing that? The reason I'm bringing this up is if you think Sarah was spared in the book, you're wrong. Apparently, she spent wildly on holidays, parties, flowers, and staff while she was married to Andrew. The book says that Queen Elizabeth paid off hundreds of thousands of pounds of debt. And allegedly, there was one instance where a payment of £500,000 had to be paid in April of 1994 within 14 days. And so the Queen paid it. This book that's coming out says that the Yorks were notable for being marked by ambition and financial recklessness. She had a string of bad businesses. She traded off her royal connections. She even put her name on a chain of retirement homes that went bankrupt. And by 1994, she was almost £4 million in debt. So to help pay her bills, Fergie started writing books. We know about this. Well, her latest book, called Her Heart for a Compass, was always meant, she said, to be a bridge between heart stories and generations. And so she went to a book signing and she got to talk with creators and, sign her book, etc. But what was interesting was what was on her feet. In case you didn't notice, I think this was the perfect thing to wear. The slippers say, "Don't complain, don't explain." Love it. All right, let's move on to King Charles. It appears that on the 6th, he attended the 42 Torpedo Bomber Squadron stand-up parade at the Royal Air Force Lossiemouth. That is in Scotland, and he was there to represent the squadron standard to number 42. They're a torpedo bomber squadron, just in case you didn't know. During the parade, the king addressed servicemen and women as well as their families. There was a fly past of 2 Typhoon bombers and a P-8A Poseidon aircraft. And after the parade, the king met with families, including those of servicemen and women based in Cyprus and Poland, where they're defending NATO's eastern borders. The king was given a tour of the squadron buildings and the Poseidon hangar, which houses 9 P-8A Poseidon maritime reconnaissance aircraft, which were equipped with weapon systems for anti-submarine warfare, as well as surveillance and search and rescue missions. He was also given a tour of one multi-role maritime patrol aircraft, and he met the crew who showed the king the cutting-edge technology that's used to detect, identify, and monitor targets. Of course, there were more RAF soldiers and families to meet outside. That poor baby. Not everybody was happy to see King Charles, apparently, but the majority of people were happy to see him. And once again, I think he looks absolutely spiffy in that uniform. FYI, the king was wearing the Order of the Thistle, which is the greatest order of chivalry in Scotland. Now, the next thing that happened, and I don't know if this was before or after the Royal Air Force, but King Charles went to Brora to open a £5 million Old Klein School Community Heritage Hub. There were about 300 people there to welcome in. He flew in by helicopter from the Castle of May, where he's currently staying. Looking good, Charles. I think Charles is doing really well, don't you guys? I think he's looking good. All right, time to move on to our Harry Meghan stuff. Now, to start out with, I pointed out to you on the birthday video about the cabbage that McCarthy was wearing. And I knew this, but I had forgotten about it. And you guys, in your comments, pointed out that the cabbage hat referred to Prince Philip, who used to call the Queen Cabbage. That was his pet name. And yeah, that was another swipe. And just so you know, since that birthday thing that they did, I've never watched Melissa McCarthy again. I think she's absolutely vile. All right, next up, Meghan's putting up stuff about how you can make popsicles out of the wine that she's trying to sell. Now, we know last time everything sold out so quickly, and this time it's not. And do you know why they're claiming it's not now? Because she has so much excess this time, because the last two times it sold out so quickly, and this time it didn't because she stocked extra bottles. We all know what really went on. She only had a few hundred bottles, and that's why they sold out. But the truth is, nobody really wants her stuff. So desperate is she to sell what's there that she's putting up more and more posts on her Instagram. Come on, guys, come on over, buy it. You know you want it. All right, looks like Meghan Markle is looking for a nanny. They put up an ad. A loving and dynamic family based in beautiful Santa Barbara is seeking an experienced full-time nanny to join their household and care for two bright, kind-hearted young children, aged 4 to 6. It goes on. It's just minutes from the beach, surrounded by hiking trails, close-knit family and support. The property has expansive outdoor space, a private playground. Household is staffed with long-standing dedicated team to help maintain a calm and nurturing home environment because their nanny for 5 years has become a mother herself and needs to be home. It talks about if you want to live in, if you want to live out. This is absolutely for Harry and Meghan. But here's what gets me, the list of things that they're expected to do. Basically, this person will be getting the kids up in the morning and down at night, dropping off and picking up at school, doing their laundry, cleaning the children's rooms, coordinating play, basically everything that the mother should be doing. I knew Meghan never took her kids to school. I knew she was lying. All right, let's move on. Remember when Meghan went out for her birthday and she put up a picture and supposedly you can tell from the picture what she's wearing. That tells you that they're letting people know, they're reaching out to the press, because there's no way from that picture that you can tell that she's wearing this outfit from 5 years ago when she and Harry went to New York. So what does that tell you? FYI, you guys also commented and pointed out that Meeson Harriman also did not wish a birthday wish. All right, next up, this was interesting. One of my subscribers wrote to me and said, you know, Harry has a tendency to be violent. And there was an incident where he attacked one of the people from the Foo Fighters. And why doesn't anybody talk about it? So the reason this story is coming up is because Taylor Hawkins just passed away. So here's what he said. He said, we were playing somewhere in England. We had just flown over. We had like 2 hours of sleep. We were doing a show in some ambassador's backyard. And Harry walks in and he goes, how you doing? And he said, I can't wake up. I'm tired. You know, I got to play. I got to wake up. He says, all of a sudden, Harry slapped him. It was like a bam noise. And he said he looked at him and went, you MFer. And then the guys were like, "Are you awake now?" or something like that. He said, "In the moment, I was like, you effing slapped me, dude." Like there was nothing, he didn't find it funny at the time. All right, really quick before we get into our one big story for today. Once again, when Meghan turned 40, which was in 2021, that was the last time the royal family acknowledged her birthday. Is it as I told you, the Queen made a rule that they will only publicly mark the birthdays of non-working royals on the big ones like 40, 50, 60. Otherwise, nothing. All right, let's move on to our Sentebale story. A little bit of a reminder of what happened. There was a polo match. Meghan behaved very rudely at this polo match. She would not allow Dr. Sophie Chanduka to stand next to Harry. And this woman had more business on the stage than Meghan did. And it was at that point that Harry asked Miss Chanduka to defend Meghan's behavior, and she said, "I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to use this charity as an extension of the Sussex PR machine like Invictus." Okay, that's what she said. Now, in case you don't know about Dr. Chanduka, let me just tell you, she's a Zimbabwe-born corporate finance lawyer. She's an entrepreneur, head of America's risk management and intelligence at Meta. She used to be the global COO of shared services and banking at Morgan Stanley in New York. She has a list of accomplishments a mile long, and she is on the board of directors of Sentebale. She had more right to be on that stage than Meghan Markle did, and Meghan basically pushed her to the side. I want to remind you guys that it was Harry and Prince Ciso back in March who struck out in the public realm and said that they were in shock and truly heartbroken amid the boardroom battles within the organization. They put out a joint statement and said they had resigned as patron until further notice to support other trustees who had done the same. So nobody had to know what was going on behind closed doors. It was Harry who put it out into the public realm. So with that, Ms. Chanduka filed a formal complaint with the Charity Commission alleging issues of poor governance, weak executive management, abuse of power, bullying, harassment, misogyny, and misogynoir. And she also lodged a lawsuit against the charity to block her removal from her position as chair after the Board of Trustees requested her resignation. And when the report came out, there was an investigation going on by the Charity Commission. When the report came out, it criticized both sides of the boardroom battle, and that hasn't stopped yet, though. So here we go. The probe said that it could find no evidence of widespread or systemic bullying or harassment, including misogyny or misogynoir at Sentebale. The report criticized the trustees, including Harry, who resigned en masse in the spring after everything went out into the public domain. Their failure to resolve disputes internally severely impacted the charity's reputation and risks undermining public trust in charities more generally. That's what the Charity Commission found. So Harry was going on to say he expected the investigation to unveil the truth while hoping the charity would be put back into what he considered the right hands and hoping there may be a path back for him. Remember, this place helps orphans with AIDS and HIV in Lesotho, and it was set up in memory of Princess Diana. And the name of it in the language means forget-me-not. No, maybe I'm wrong, but Prince Harry and Prince Ciso resigned, and yet Harry is claiming that this is a hostile takeover of the charity he started. Harry has claimed that the Charity Commission was quote unquote sitting on the fence. He then went on to say that he was unsurprised the report makes no finding of wrongdoing in relation to himself or evidence of bullying, but he also said that the report fell troublingly short in many regards. He's complaining he was not given the opportunity to submit a statement to the inquiry. So Prince Harry and the other prince are now actively exploring whether they could try to regain control of the charity at some point. Apparently, there's a lot of complexities to the governance structure of Sentebale, which means they're not entirely clear to whether or not Sentebale in Lesotho is a separate organization and charity to Sentebale in the UK. And so apparently, Prince Seeiso is exploring that option because if they legally divide, then the pair could regain control of the charity's Lesotho division. If Prince Seeiso can find a way to extricate Sentebale in Lesotho from Sophie Chanduka, he's going to try to do that. A Sentebale representative has said that they believe that's not possible, that they're not going to be able to regain control of the Lesotho division. They are understood now to be finding alternatives to helping children supported by Sentebale in Lesotho. I mean, he lost his charity. The charity is getting ready in the next month or two, I'm not exactly sure when, to release their reports, which they legally have to do. And it is at that point that we will see how well Sophie Chanduka has done governing Sentebale. Now, Sentebale, it's being claimed by Prince Harry's side, has mismanaged money, and there's all kinds of things. But in the meantime, Sentebale put out a statement that they welcomed the announcement by the charity commissioner confirming the conclusion of the compliance case in the charity. It's saying that the charity, it was confirmed, validly appointed the trustees that are now in place to take the charity forward. And if you go through the entire report, an action plan was put into place. They did find one or two little problems. So I'm not going to go through the whole report. I'm just going to give you the highlights. 4 things that they found. 1, the delegation of certain powers to the chair was confusing, convoluted, and poorly governed process. Number 2, the then trustees failed to have proper processes and policies in place to investigate internal complaints. 3, a lack of clear policies contributed to the failure to resolve disputes. 4, it was not satisfied that public statements made to the media and public criticisms were conducted in a way that served the charity's best interests. Based on the evidence provided and reviewed by the commission, there was no evidence of overreach by either the chair or the Duke of Sussex as patron, or evidence of the widespread or systemic bullying and harassment that was, initially complained about. To move forward, and in conclusion, they're saying that they do have validly appointed trustees in place to take the charity forward. There is an action plan put in place, and it ended with them saying to the group, moving forward, I urge all parties not to lose sight of those who rely on the charity's service. The current trustees must make improvements and ensure the charity's focus is on delivering those who exist for the reason it serves. Well, that should have been the end of it, but of course not, because Prince Harry's camp has put out a statement that says that the watchdog chose to ignore key concerns and irrefutable evidence which they raised over the leadership and oversight of Dr. Chanduka. Now, because of this, Sentebale has now asked for a clarification regarding the bullying and harassment statements. They also said it provides Sentebale with some degree of reassurance that the Charity Commission has not identified widespread bullying within the charity. So basically what's going on is that Sentebale is asking for the Charity Commission to look at individuals bullied, not the whole group. Okay. And of course, Harry spoke out and said Sentebale is just rehashing unsubstantiated allegations of bullying, misogyny, and more. And it's not just provocative, it's pitiful. Gee, where have I heard that before? Oh, wait, that's right, Harry, your wife. I mean, this is karma. How many times have I told you guys karma is a thing? What has happened is Sentebale has written to the Charity Commission saying that the onus is on the commission to restate for the record the individual allegations of bullying have not been investigated or addressed in the report. Now, it's being said that Harry is spending hours on the phone from California to supporters anywhere late into the night raging about the hostile takeover of his work. Listen, at this point, I just feel like maybe he should turn his attention to African parks and try to fix that mess so he has something left. Dr. Chanduka, by the way, came out and made a statement saying the unexpected adverse media campaign launched by those who resigned in March has caused incalculable damage and offers a glimpse of the unacceptable behavior displayed in private. We are emerging not just grateful to have survived, but stronger, more focused, better governed, boldly ambitious, and with our dignity intact. And despite the recent turbulence, we will always be inspired by the vision of our founders, Prince Harry and Prince Ciso, who established Sentebale in memory of their precious mothers, Princess Diana and Queen Mamohato. This woman invoked Princess Diana's memory, which caused backlash from some of Harry's friends saying that it's in very poor taste. She got what she wanted, what is control of the charity, but the people who suffer the most are the children. This is devastating for Harry. This is so tasteless because, of course, Harry is the only one who's supposed to invoke the memory of Diana. Listen, I completely agree with what Dr. Chanduka said. There are people in this world who behave as though they are above the law, mistreat people, and then play the victim card and use the very press they disdain to harm people. Absolutely. Oh my goodness, I can't even go through all this stuff at the end because my head is just spinning from this whole Sentebale drama, and I'm pretty sure there'll be more to it before this is all over. So just hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. You know what to do, and I will be seeing you tomorrow. Have a great day.